getting close to the end of the show, but we do have to complain about the impending demise of CapFriendly.
And also have a hearty chuckle at the idiots in charge of the league that we love with our whole hearts.
I mean, it would be funny if it wasn't so infuriating.
Yeah.
So if you missed this from the weekend, it was reported by one Elliot Friedman, I believe. Was this Sunday when it came out?
I think it was,
I think it was Sunday when it came out. Elliot Friedman reported that CapFriendly, the go-to hub for cap and contract information regarding the NHL teams, is going to be purchased by the Washington Capitals. And when it is purchased, they are going to be bringing it in-house and shutting down the public website. Apparently, it's going to last through the draft and the start of free agency, but sometime around like July 4th, 5th, when things start to die down a bit, it is going to close its doors, metaphorically speaking, since it's a website. Now, to kick it off, I want to say I'm really happy for the CapFriendly people.
Me too.
I'm happy. You know what? Cash in. You guys did incredible work. You put together a great resource for everybody. I really hope they made a lot of money off this deal because they deserve it. And I like to see people that work hard get rewarded. For us, it sucks.
Stinks.
However, there will be other sites. Puckpedia has been out for a while. I use it, honestly, even now, even before CapFriendly is going away. It's a good site, and I guarantee you it's only going to get better now that it's basically the only game in town, at least for now. And if it doesn't, if they flop, if they can't handle the extra traffic, I guarantee you there will be other people who will jump up to create a website because they see, hey, Capitals just spent probably a decent amount of money buying this site. It might be worth my time to put the time and effort into creating a site like CapFriendly. So I don't think that fans are going to be hurt too much over the long term. Maybe in the short term, it would be a little bit annoying getting used to a new website.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is a niche that will be filled by someone, whether it's Puckpedia or whether it's another website. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. You know, there was Cap Geek, there was General Fanager. There's been other sites that have been around and they've been replaced by other sites that do a really good job as well.
Yep.
To me, it's more that this, number one, makes the NHL look bad, and number two, it makes the teams look bad.
Yep.
So why does it make the teams look bad? It makes the teams look bad because one thing we're finding out is that one of the reasons why the Capitals bought this website is because, insanely enough, not every team has its own internal cap database. They all just use CapFriendly just like us, which is wild.
When I heard this, aghast. I don't know if that's even a strong enough word. Like, how in the world do these teams, and he listed some teams that have their own.
Yes, he said
internal.
Seattle, the Devils, Carolina, Chicago, the Islanders, Toronto, Columbus, Pittsburgh. I don't think it is a coincidence that a lot of these teams are really heavy in analytics.
Like the Flyers, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like
the Flyers should have one. If they don't, they really should.
Why are you relying on some dude hanging out in his house that's made a website to tell you what your cap situation is? What are we doing here? Like, how is that not like one of the most important things as an NHL front office, is having some way to manage all of the money that you're, it's fucking wild.
So the one thing I will say in their defense is that, and I don't think this was everybody, but a lot of teams that didn't have their own internal proprietary service, they did pay CapFriendly money to essentially get like direct access to their server. So it's not like they were just like dependent upon like, well, if shit goes down, like, yes, just being like us.
Okay.
So, because that apparently was how this news got out, was that teams were calling CapFriendly like, hey, we're good to renew for next year, right? And they're like, well, about that.
Welp.
And then that's how this starts to leak, is because then it becomes clear that someone is buying it, and it turns out to be the Washington Capitals. But I guarantee you there are at least a few teams that were just going on CapFriendly.com just like us, which is wild.
I wonder sometimes how any of this is still happening. Like, how is this league not folded 12 times already? It's insane to me. Yeah, it really sucks that it's going away, just because it's an interface that we all got used to. I think everyone's been using it for so long
Yeah,
to
it
look
sucks.
at these things.
We all hate change.
Also, I do think that like we collectively do bear some responsibility in these kinds of things because none of us wants to pay for any of the content that we use for free on an almost daily basis. And like if CapFriendly had been charging $10 a month for access to that information and 1 million hockey fans were paying them $10 a month, chances are they would have been like, go kick rocks, Capitals. I'm making a whole fuck ton of money running this site for the public.
Yeah.
And they would have just kept it going. But none of us was to do that. And, that, you know, I get it. I don't want to pay for content. It's annoying. However, we have to, you know, remember that if we're unwilling to pay for content, the content that we like is probably eventually going to disappear. Just like this one. That stinks. That said, what is the NHL like? What are they doing, Charlie?
The NHL is definitely
They are not serious
they're,
people.
They're the group that it's literally Succession. I love you, but you are not serious.
You are
people.
not serious.
You are
people.
not serious people. So the NHL comes out of this looking bad on 2 levels. Number one, it brings up the whole thing of like, why in God's name do you not have a central cap database that you guys run? And the reason is because the owners in particular are, as usual, crappy people who are terrified of accountability.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't want all of their mistakes being placed out on a league-sanctioned website. So they would rather be out there on an unaffiliated website because then they can't call up Gary Bettman and yell about, like, why is everyone yelling at me about this bad contract? Well, because your GM signed it.
Yeah.
Tough shit. But that's really, like, this should not even be an issue. The NHL should run their own site. Every contract details should be accessible to everyone. They should not be hidden. We should not have assholes like Lou Lamoriello who hide their contracts and have everyone terrified of what his wrath might be if an agent dares to leak the contract details.
Shave your beard.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Lou so much.
I'm not a Lou fan either.
No.
But it's so annoying that the NHL doesn't do this on their own, that every 4 or 5 years a website goes dark and then we have to, as fans, be like, well, shit, now who's going to do it? It's annoying. It's really annoying. But the NHL is just gone to NHL. Like this note from Friedman today on 32 Thoughts where the NHL does not think they should be involved in this business, and the relationship between the NHL, think the league office, and CapFriendly was, quote, icy.
Ooh.
Some teams don't want NHL.com publishing contract matters. Tough shit. Like, honestly, you know what? There's an element here where, like, I'm sorry that your league can't just be all the players playing in front of empty crowds. And
for $0.
For $0.
Yeah.
Like, no. If you want money from the fans who pay all of your fucking salaries in the grand scheme of things, whether it's via TV revenue because they watch the games, or whether it's ticket revenue because they go, or whether it's merch revenue because they buy all the shit that you hawk to them. And even then you make it hard because you partner with idiots like Fanatics who can't even do their jobs even a little bit right.
No.
If you want that money, you have to give something back to the fans. And the fans care about cap. Because you build a system where we have to.
Yeah, I have to know what these guys make. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to talk about their salary. You've made it so I have to.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most important thing. And this is just another, like, we don't talk enough about the fact that Gary Bettman is actually a fucking terrible commissioner. How, like, in the late 90s, the NHL was pretty much even with the NBA as far as money and popularity. And they could have taken off like a rocket. They didn't. Mostly because of decisions that Gary Bettman and the owners made, because all they care about is keeping their little insular world insular and making as much money as they can while also doing as little work as possible and taking as little risk as possible.
Yes.
It's nonsense the way this league is run. Hockey could be so much better if these idiots got out of their way. They're all very short-sighted. They don't think about any kind of long-term ramifications of their decisions. It's a whole ass thing. The NHL as a whole sucks. But this in particular is hilarious because every team that's not run by Lou Lamoriello, the second a contract is signed, tells us the terms and conditions of the contract. We all know immediately. If CapFriendly didn't exist, all we would have to do is write it down, and then we would all know the salaries because they tell us.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a secret, and it shouldn't be a secret. And what advantage is gained by keeping it a secret? You're all operating with the same number of dollars.
Everybody's going to find out anyway. That's
Right.
the thing.
Yeah.
And if you want fan interest, you want people to be diving into a cap situation. Like somebody put in our comment section, well, the other leagues don't operate a cap site either. The difference between the NHL and the other leagues is that the NHL has a strict, hard cap.
Hard.
You have the NFL, okay? The NFL contracts are meaningless. You can cut guys whenever the hell you want. The cap is basically fiction. It doesn't exist. Howie Roseman has made it so the salary cap isn't even real. The NBA is the closest, but even they have a soft cap because there's different rules for re-signing your own guys and exceptions and things like that. So I get it. It's very complicated. And then you have baseball. Baseball is a luxury tax. So no, I don't need to know what every single player is making because I will just yell at the owner of my team to spend more money, you cheap ass billionaire.
Exactly.
Like, that's all I care about. The NHL is the only league where you legitimately are not allowed to spend past a certain number unless you're the Vegas Golden Knights and you keep everyone in injured reserve. But seriously, that's why it matters more for hockey. And if you're going to build a system where the salary cap and individual player salaries and cap hits matter this much, and they do, they matter so much, then you owe it to the fan base that you are supposedly trying to keep happy to make it as easy as possible for them to understand how their teams have a chance at getting players and winning games and winning championships.
Right, because all of this depends on people being interested in your product. And the more you try to lock people out of information, and they do it with stats, they're trying to do it with salaries. They do it with everything. They try to keep as much of this game a secret as humanly possible while also expecting that people are going to want to consume their product. It makes no sense.
It kind of goes back to that whole thing about the club.
Yes.
The NHL would very much, people in the NHL would very much prefer if, like, basically hockey was run entirely by 200 people, and only those 200 people had all the information. And we as fans and media people just kind of were like Oliver Twist begging for scraps at the table. Yeah. And like, well, we'll give you what we think you should know, and everything else is just ours. And this plays into that.
Mm-hmm. Or you just praised them for their genius and never questioned a single decision that they made because they're the smartest 200 people in the world.
Right.
That's why they keep getting all the jobs. There's nobody else who could possibly do this.
Of course not.
No. It's all very stupid. And it's infuriating as someone who loves this so much. It's just so annoying to know how poorly it's run.
Yeah. And Mellerman 4 is absolutely right. It's not Bettman's job to keep us happy. It's to keep the owners happy. 100% right. That is his job. And that's why he can say crazy things like, I don't think there's enough fan interest to have a site like that. Like, of course there is, dude. We all know the reason why you're saying it is because the owners don't want there to be a site like this. But it doesn't change the fact that the fans are the ones that make this league work. If you don't have fans, you don't have a league. You don't have a sport. And all too often, all of the sports leagues, this isn't even just something that's unique to the NHL. All of the sports leagues can forget that the fans are what matters. Without the fans, you are nothing. So maybe throw fans a bone once in a while.
And that comment specifically is why they should have done it this past time, but they better do it next time. The players need to strike when it's time because the owners in the NHL have had it too easy for too long. And there's a reason why none of this ever changes. It's a reason why they have the stupid escrow system. The reason why the cap is so low. It's because these guys keep getting what they want. And the reason they keep getting what they want is because the players never take their power back. Like every stoppage has not been because of the players. It's been the owners locking the players
there hasn't
out.
been a strike since the 90s.
Right, exactly. The players need to look around and be like, why are we doing it this way? This is stupid. We're not putting up with this bullshit anymore. And the next time their CBA is up, they need to demand things are better. And if they don't want to make them better, then all right, buddy, then you're not going to have a sport. Enjoy yourself. Yeah. Like that would be the easiest way to fix these things. But hockey players also very dumb.
But the shitty part about it at its core is that as much as we complain and as much as we rant and rave about this stuff, we're still going to keep watching.
Never going to stop.
Yeah. And that's where they get you.
The problem
that's where they get you, Kelly.
They get you. The problem is though, that's me and you and Bill and the people watching this. We're all crazy. Like they've already got us. We've been sucked in for too long to get out now. you're not going to get a lot of new people.
Mm.
That's your problem. You need new people, and you're not going to get them with this kind of nonsense. It's just not going to happen.
We all silly like the mayor.